Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and however you may identify. I am the common sense guy, or as some people would know me better as Jason. How are you all doing today? Uh, today's going to be a bit of an interesting one. We've got a little bit of a video that we're going to go through, but before we get all the way through to the video, I wanted to go through the steps in which I found this little video. And so first of all, let's do this, shall we? First of all, this is somebody called Bad Bunny on Twitter, on the internet. She does YouTube, she does Twitter, she does lots of stuff. As far as I'm aware, quite a lot of people know who she is already, so should be interesting. But let's just read the actual Twitter thread, shall we, very quickly. So, 11 ways fascists and their sympathisers are defending Carl Rittenhouse. So, if you, ladies and gentlemen, and however you may identify, whether you're right, left, centre, in between, an alien from another planet, if you're defending Carl Rittenhouse because it looks like self-defense to you, somehow you're a fascist. Just somehow. Somehow you're a fascist. So, if you see anyone using these, don't waste your time on them. Don't debate them. Don't try to teach them. Don't defend them. Know you are dealing with fascism. Block and run the other direction. So, let's quickly just pass through who and what these little points are, shall we? So 1, he's acting in self-defense, defending property. We'll get through all of these properly and go through all of them very, very shortly. I just want to give a list of how Bad Bunny has set this all up. So she then goes on to point number 2. He was crying real tears. It's like, okay, didn't realise that that's something that you should really be bringing up or not. Fair enough. He deserves due process. If I had more time, before I got blocked, because I got blocked, which is the main reason why I'm doing a video, is I got blocked by Bad Bunny because I asked the question, well, if he doesn't deserve due process, who else falls into that category, and how do you decide who falls into that category? And I got blocked for that, apparently. Apparently that was an honest faith question, which number 6 is a doozy for you if you want to understand number 6. So apparently 4 is this isn't about white supremacy, the victims were white. I mean, most people would find that self-evident, but again, we'll go through her reasoning, go through her video. We have that all set up, so we should be okay with this. He's being vilified by the media. We don't know all the facts. Me personally, I don't know how that statement would ever make you a fascist. We don't know all the facts. It looks like he's being vilified. I don't know how that can actually make you a fascist or a sympathiser of fascist. So, sea lining, which is a philosophical term. It's a fallacy, and she puts it down to questions, which is, how is Carl racist? How is this white supremacy? How was he not acting in self-defense? Other incessant questions. So asking questions about your position is apparently sea lining. Okay. 7, the facts of the case. Now, this is the reason why I wanted to watch the video. I wanted to know how Bad Bunny got to how that can be a fascist point of view, the facts of the case. Number 8, put yourself in his shoes, or if it were me, what would you do? Those types of things. I think those are honest questions that anybody should ask themselves if they were in his position and you had a gun and you knew how to use it, so to speak. Would you actually defend yourself with it or not? Me personally, I would. I think most people that were in his position at that time, being hit over the head with a skateboard, being kicked in the face, somebody trying to grab the barrel of your gun, those types of things. I personally think that, yeah, I probably would have fired if I had a gun, simply because I would be feared for my life at that point in time. But hey, the victims were no angels. Personally, I think that this could be linked to a whataboutism, as in, oh, well, we're trying to defame the other people. But again, that doesn't fall into fascism. You could say it's cunty behaviour, but it doesn't fall into fascism whatsoever. But I thought you were anti-prison, because now people that were anti-prison are now screaming for him to be locked up and thrown away the key. There's no rehabilitation. There's no chance of reform. He's obviously a dirty, dirty white supremacist or a white nationalist, and he's obviously going out to kill people because of his anger. So there's no way of him reforming. But yet, a couple of weeks ago, they were saying that the prison system should be abolished and everybody should have a chance of being reformed, so on and so forth. It's just pure hypocrisy, and it's right to point out that level of hypocrisy, in my opinion. So the court system is impartial, and if he is acquitted, we must respect the results. I don't understand how that is fascist. You're trying to suggest at that point in time that, let's be honest, the system itself is not perfect. No system ever will be perfect. No system will ever be perfect. But the system in itself, you have to have some sort of element of trust in it. And when you do have that element of trust in it, if he is acquitted, or if he is found innocent, rather, then it would be a case of saying, well, you do have to respect the results. Because your opinion is nothing compared to what the facts are in a case, and why the court is being tried by a jury of their peers. So yes, that's how we in my country in the UK and in your country of the US deal with horrible situations like this that the right and the left have polarized for their own points of view. We try and take out the political points of it and try and actually see what the facts are of the case. And 9 times out of 10, courts do that. Do they make mistakes? Sure. But on the whole of it, they generally make the right decisions. And if they don't, generally normally err on the side of caution rather than trying to permit guilt. Because after all, in the UK as well as the US, more so in the US though than the UK, there is a presumption of innocence and you have to prove guilt. So if you can't prove guilt, then the presumption is you're innocent. That's how court system works. So I just wanted to bring this down a little bit more. So Bad Bunny then puts in a secondary tweet where she goes, for the record, because she was getting a lot of pushback, deserves due process was mentioned because fascist sympathizers are alluding to Rittenhouse's right to due process as under threat. Interesting. This concern serves to control the narrative and paint him a victim. Again, an interesting take. So, as you can see, it's actually quite interesting in how this is being done. So, I'm going to give a couple of seconds for the chat to catch up to see what the chat's saying. That way I can kind of see where everything's going on. It's good to see Hyperborean here. Haven't seen you before. Hello, Jacobs. Good to see you back. I didn't see a hey Jacob or even a how. Well, I was on a different page. How, Jacob? How are you doing it? Yeah. Or is that for Jensen? Obviously that was for Jensen. Don't forget that there is a poll in the chat just for a bit of fun. If you wanted to tell me if you think that Rittenhouse is guilty or innocent. I'm assuming that it will go a particular way, but I just want to see how everything goes in a minute. It should be interesting. But I suppose we should now go on to the Twitch aspect of it and play through the video. That's if I've got this to work properly. Alright, looks like I may have this working, so we shall see how this goes. And hopefully everything will work how it's supposed to. Now, unfortunately, Bad Bunny herself on this actually Yeah, I'm just going to play it rather than trying to poison any more. Let's just play. Let me know in the chat if you can hear this.
Oh, hell yeah. Are you fascist if you believe in the Second Amendment? All right, that's another way that someone's being a fascist, what you're doing right now.
Like, I know it's literally seconds. I get it. It's seconds. I get it. I'm not giving her a chance to be able to explain anything. But somebody just asked, how is supporting the Second Amendment fascism? And she's just saying, well, what you're doing now is fascism. So didn't address the point, didn't address anything else at all that the person put forward, but yet just said, oh, you're just being fascist, what you're doing. It is such an erroneous point to be able to say that, where so many people actually come out of their way and say that, well, fascism has lost all its meaning now. It's just a bad word. It really does seem to be turning out that way, unfortunately. So the actual definitions and meanings of words seems to have been changing, and it's not good, ladies and gentlemen. It's not good. Right, so let's carry on. I'll try and last a bit longer than a couple of seconds. Yeah, I know. That's what she said. By the way, she spent
Thanks for the example, bruv.
10.
Excellent.
She spent 10 minutes trying to get Google Docs to change the background.
All right, so
Just
top 10
just,
ways fascists are defending Kyle Rittenhouse. Bark, bark, bark. Real time examples. Yeah. I want to make this extremely clear to people what's going on, because these motherfuckers are trying. They're trying real hard. And a lot of them are very nice people and are dudes that have made...
Wait. Max Chloe B42 in the chat, not my chat, but in her chat, just said, Second Amendment doesn't apply to children. I didn't realise that there was an actual age limit, especially when it comes to the point of going hunting. I thought that people up from the age of 12 or 14, so depending on state. Again, I'm from the UK, so I should know this, and I should have checked before saying it. Or as far as I'm aware, for hunting and getting hunting rifles, as long as they're accompanied by their parents and so on and so forth, as far as I know, that you could start getting guns and rifles from the ages of 12 or 14. Again, I'm not 100% on that, so please don't quote me. I'm sure the Americans in the chat would be able to say that, but I'm sure that under the age of 18, to a certain degree, that for hunting, they're allowed to have their use of Second Amendment. Anyway, I shouldn't be addressing her chat. Let's address Bad Bunny.
Good videos in the past. And, have awesome memes and, support blah, blah rights, you think. So there must be something more to this. And I want to make it very clear there's not.
So, people that in the past have had similar takes to what she has, to how she may have supported them in the past, to how they've now changed their mind, for now not having any chance of good faith with these other people and having a genuine conversation with them. Apparently everybody that disagrees with her on this matter is now a fascist, and they are now defending Kyle Rittenhouse because they are fascists. Okay. Right, let's carry on.
It's easy to be this anti-fascist, anti-racist, whatever person when it's all cut and dry and all of your faves are backing you. But that's not actually how life works. To think that is again, you're just living in a fucking fantasy land.
Again, this is the lady that's just said that people I used to follow, I used to subscribe to, I used to like, that I used to follow their memes, I used to think that their positions were solid, and I used to follow them, is now saying that's not how life works. When I disagree with somebody else, they've obviously completely turned into a fascist and never could have a different opinion to what I've had. Now, I don't think that this is a retrospective of all of people on the left. I don't think that. But I've chosen Bad Bunny for a particular reason, because I think that she embodies all of the bad arguments that the left have put forward. And I meant the far left, the crazy left, not the ones that have actually taken the time to have a look at the case and gone, this is obviously a case of self-defense. At least in my opinion. We'll see how that actually goes. But apparently having that sort of a disagreement now makes you a fascist. So let's try and see if she can get to her points before I completely ruin the whole stream on spending time talking about her points before we get there. Because this is going to be a long stream. Help. By the way, she's still messing around with the colour of her Google Docs to be able to start writing this. So when you see a box changing colour, that's all to do with her changing her Google Docs. This is riveting content. Riveting content. The concentration on how to use a Google Docs is amazing here.
Breaking down all the ways.
Oh my god. The concentration levels on her face there. The good thing is we can't see what the hell she's writing. So that's good. It's a start. Now, you could argue I should have pushed this forward. I should push this forward. So where she actually starts putting it down. But I just want to show you her content level. That this is the big brain of Bad Bunny. I'm still deciding whether or not what my colour should be. Should I have it black or should I have it grayscale or what? It's
Okay.
Oh, are we ready now, Bad Bunny?
So,
are we ready?
I would keep the music on, but it's gonna make it shitty for YouTube. So, there was something about the pixels, but that was court having an existential crisis, confusing computer imaging with the real world. I don't know why you were talking about this.
You don't know why that somebody would be talking about evidence that's in a trial and not understanding that when you have a video, digital video, that when you actually zoom in, and that doesn't mean when you're zooming in with a lens, it means when you're trying to blow up an image, there is an algorithm that's involved that increases the pixels to fill in the dots. So when you make the pixels bigger, that makes a gap. The algorithm tries to fill in that gap with other colours. Now, sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't, but most of the time you are adding information into that actual document, into that video, without knowing whether the information is correct or not. After all, it's a good educated guess from the algorithm, but it's not necessarily true. So when you say, I don't know what we're talking about this for, you're obviously not following the case properly, are you, darling? Jesus.
Okay.
She's now ready, guys.
So
she's now ready.
when I'm saying defending, by the way, chat, can you see this? Let's make it bigger. When we say defending, first and foremost, I need to be clear of like what defending means. Now, for instance, let's go to an example that I think a lot of you might be familiar with. Holocaust deniers. What's in Holocaust denier? What's Holocaust denial? What is it?
Are you literally asking the chat to respond to you so you know what a Holocaust denier is, or are you just pausing for dramatic effect? It's really interesting that she compares people that are looking at facts of a trial, literal facts of a trial, and saying and comparing or contrasting them with, oh, they're Holocaust deniers, because they've obviously looked at the evidence that I had and come to a completely different point of view. So they're obviously just denying reality rather than it being a difference of opinion in a court case. But apparently we're all Holocaust deniers, guys. We're all Holocaust deniers. Everybody that supports Rittenhouse and thinks that this is a self-defense case, all Holocaust deniers. Get your badges here, guys.
It was funny. Lasted couple hour. Everyone looked dumb. That's not. What does that even mean?
You're a streamer. You literally just said about the arc, about the goddamn... Oh, my head. You said about the fact of the pixels in the camera. And they're saying that it was funny how people were talking about it because it made people look dumb. How can you not... carry on.
It wasn't that bad? Yeah, so like Holocaust denial... Let's make this bigger, actually. Holocaust denial, again, what does that have to do with this? I'm getting there, douchebag. Holocaust denial can be just denying the entirety of the Holocaust. I should make my margins bigger. Or it can be undermining the severity of the Holocaust. Or it can be obscuring the facts, the Holocaust, even if it doesn't directly look like it's undermining the severity. Any sort of revisionism is also something that counts as Holocaust denial.
If somebody wants to, take a quick screenshot of the Holocaust denial that she just wrote down, and then change the Holocaust to the trial, denying the entirety of the Rittenhouse facts, undermining the severity of the Rittenhouse facts, obscuring the facts of the Rittenhouse trial. Let's see how that merges to see if she fits in her own definition of what a Holocaust denialist is to how she would try to argue against the Rittenhouse case. Let's just see. Let's see how it goes.
Oh, someone just did it? Who mentioned Holocaust? Who mentioned Holocaust? I can't shut the fuck up and listen for 1 second of my life. It's very clear you can't. Hitler killed lots of Catholics too. God. How is the Holocaust about white supremacy? I don't get it. Aren't Jews white people? I don't get it. I'm trying to make my margins bigger. How do you do that easily? I'll just drag.
This is the best content I've ever been a part of.
When we say Holocaust denial, it doesn't mean... It can mean denying the entirety of the Holocaust. But it can also mean softer version of this. Saying it happened, but undermine the severity of it. Undermining like the number of people that died, undermining the terrible experiences of the Jews and other people, and also
God,
maybe denying that other people were in the camps and were exterminated by the Nazis. Then it wasn't just the Jews, for the record. Choking Ouroboros 87, thanks for the sub, new subby. Thank you. It's the first time I'm here. It feels like I'm in a mean lecture. I love it. I'm really glad. I'm glad to hear it. You subby, thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate it.
I'm so happy.
How do you mention greatest tragedy possibly to a moron, Kyle? Shut up! Ugh, God. I'm a dumbass and it's everyone's problem. No, it's not. It simply is not. Shut up. Okay.
Asking you questions about your own position and about how you would equate one of the most horrendous, horrific, and almost singular death toll via a country by themselves on its own citizens and conquered citizens to a Rittenhouse trial that quite evidently, or even if not, shot 3 people is absolutely disgusting. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Completely and utterly disgusting. But let's see how you can somehow try and shoehorn Holocaust deniers into how people supporting Carl Rittenhouse are or were or whatever. Let's see how you do this, because I'd be interested.
Thank you, like, so much. I really appreciate this. Oh no, did I inflame it and discourse again? Whatever you did, Ghost, yes. Ghost, you're always doing things, okay? Yes, whatever you said. You're always right. So yes, whatever you said is correct. I can't believe you. Okay, so similar to how Holocaust denial isn't exclusively just denying the entirety of the Holocaust, but it can mean other things that are just obscuring the facts of the Holocaust, saying that, like, for instance, when Jordan Peterson says stuff like Hitler was just OCD and he was just trying to clean, he also wanted to, like, lose the war, this was on purpose, it doesn't, like, necessarily undermine, I mean, it kind of undermines the severity of it. I think it does. But to the untrained eye, it will look like obscuring the facts of the Holocaust, and that is a form of Holocaust denial.
So, Jordan Peterson being hyperbolic... By the way, I am not a Jordan Peterson fan. For anybody on the left that was going to watch this, I am not a Jordan Peterson fan. Not at all. I like some of the stuff that he's had arguments with. Most of the stuff, not really a big fan of. But for Jordan Peterson to come out and say and psychoanalyze what he thinks Hitler may or may not have done and the reasons why he may or may not have done it, even if it's as hyperbolic or as point two, isn't necessarily eschewing the facts of the Holocaust. For a start, he's talking about Hitler, not the Holocaust. Let's carry on, please. Oh, my head hurts already.
Holocaust denial / Holocaust revisionism. So in that same vein, when we say defending Kyle Rittenhouse, what does it mean to defend Kyle Rittenhouse? Using the logic that we just applied to the Holocaust denial thing. Well, it could be like straight up, he did nothing wrong. You know, that could be it. It can also be...
I don't know anybody that actually says that he did nothing wrong. Everybody says that what he did was self-defense, that maybe he could have done things differently, maybe he shouldn't have gone there, maybe he shouldn't have done this, and there's always a maybe in there, or generally there's a maybe in there. Now, you could praise Rittenhouse for, not going gung-ho with everything, and that's fine. But I don't think anybody says, oh, he didn't do nothing wrong. But then again, that could depend on what your meaning is of nothing wrong. And I think I should just wait.
He did something wrong, but...
Oh.
It wasn't... it wasn't blah, blah, blah. Like some sort of undermining the severity of it or obscuring the facts about it that will end up just like changing the nature of the narrative. I'm supposed to be writing, but I had to come see Bunny Pill spill the tea. Yeah! Hey, Sophie, what's up? Hey, Sophie, what's up? And by the way, chat, if we have examples, I actually kind of feel like spilling some tea right now.
Right,
if you want to show me
really
like
sorry.
IRL examples
She's
of
really
these
starting to annoy me.
douchebags
I haven't
doing what
watched
they're
this.
doing, like I'm happy to pull it up on screen so we can see an example of it IRL. Because a lot of you are all like, "Oh my God, who are the people? Who are the people on the left doing this shit?" And I think that it's important that we out them. I think.
So he did nothing wrong. What does that even mean? He did something wrong, but it wasn't what you're saying it is. How are those fascists that are defending Kyle Rittenhouse? How does that even remotely surface to the same thing? Also, how does that even contrast to you trying to shoehorn people defending Kyle Rittenhouse as an equivalence to people that deny the Holocaust? Yeah, carrying on. Yeah, carrying on.
Like, I don't want to be like a drama streamer, but I don't think I'm a drama streamer when I call out bona fide fucking fascists. I think that's like a really appropriate thing to do.
Sure.
So similar to the Holocaust denial, I think that there's a three-pronged way of defending Kyle Rittenhouse. One, the straight up, he did nothing wrong. Two, the minimizing what... Sorry. How about this?
Oh my God.
Denying any blame. There it is. Denying any blame, minimizing blame, and then maybe obscuring the relevant details. Typically in a way that helps to benefit Kyle Rittenhouse.
From my experience, it seems, and this is anecdotal, but from my experience, it seems that the people that are obscuring the relevant details haven't even watched the trial. They just say, I got my information from internet. I got my information from Twitter. I got my information from the news. And yet they're not even coming remotely close to what the relevant details are. So when you say are denying any blame, what does that even mean? Minimizing blame, what? You mean saying that it looks like self-defense rather than murder? That's not minimizing the blame. It's giving an opposing perspective, and that's the whole reason why it's gone to trial. Obscuring the relevant details. What details are being obscured and by who?
House. So I just want to be very clear of what we're defining as defend here, because I'm very big on definitions. I think it's important. Ooh, I might have some examples of losers defending Rittenhouse. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Come on.
Okay, so by the way, I don't know if there's gonna be 10 ways. There's gonna be ways, but like I don't know if it's 10. Okay, so let's get to it. One of the ways that I've seen is he was acting in self-defense.
Come on then, let's see what this is.
So this is probably an example of the first one, right? Let me say.
That's not a denial of blame. That's saying that he didn't murder. I'm looking right at you, camera. Saying that he did nothing wrong, that there's no blame. That's not the same as saying he didn't commit murder. He was under self-defense and he used his right to defend himself. There's a difference from lawfully killing someone and murdering somebody. So when you say denying any blame, how is he was acting in self-defense shifting or taking or denying, in your definition that you love so much, actually denying any of the blame? Just how? How? Carrying on.
Ways fascists are defending Rittenhouse. He was acting in self-defense. That's a straight up obvious one, right? That's a straight up obvious one. If anyone doesn't know the facts of this douchebag, I don't really want to go into too much because it's not. I don't.
Of course, you don't want to go into the facts of the case. Of course, you don't. You don't want to say, oh, well, you know, if people are saying he's acting in self-defense, you're just going to come out and say, well, obviously the people that have looked at this case don't know what the facts are, but I'm not going to go into it. You should look into it, but I'm telling you that he didn't act in self-defense. Well done. Great social commentary. You're doing a really great service here.
I don't think it's honestly even that. I know it's going to shock some people. What? I actually don't think it's all that relevant. I don't think that... like all these little miniature details that people are trying to distract with, which is part of what we're going to talk about, I don't think are actually the thing that makes or breaks why this guy sucks so hard.
Look, for all of your posturing, you can dislike Kyle Rittenhouse. You can honestly come out of your own way to say that you dislike him, you think he's a douchebag, and maybe he slaps old women. I don't goddamn know, right? But saying that you don't like somebody isn't the same as talking about law in a case. Just because you don't like somebody and they get put down for their self-defense, you don't go out of their way to condemn them for murder because you dislike them. You follow the letter of the law. You follow the evidence. You work out what the actual process is, what happened. Not just go, yeah, I don't like him. Fuck him off. Who gives a shit? You don't do that. Well, you do. Carrying on.
This one gets to me because leftists keep basically falling for it. Yeah. The main thing I've noticed is that is super weird, is suggesting that Rittenhouse is the only one in that situation that apparently had this right to self-defense. No one else gets this privilege for some reason. Yeah, so he was acting in self-defense, which is, yeah, thank you for that. Which inherently has... I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this list because I want to make sure people can look at it and make it quickly reference it. But that's a really good point. I don't know if it should be a separate one or not. But yeah, the emphasis, it's a very it's an inherently white supremacist argument, because the idea that somebody brings a gun across state lines.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I know this was 5 days ago, but even in a court of law, the prosecutors dropped that charge. Even a couple of days ago, they dropped out the gun charges completely and utterly. I understand that you didn't know that 5 days ago. I get that. But trying to say that, a person that brings a gun to protect property or protect themselves or anything else like that is a white supremacist is absolutely goddamn ludicrous. Absolutely goddamn ludicrous. If I work in a particular place like he did, and then I saw that the places that are around my work were getting burnt down, and I wanted to go and protect the area in which I did community in, where I was a lifeguard and things like that, then yeah, I would want to go and not counter-protest, because that's not what he was there for. He was there to make sure that the situation, like 2 days before he went there, didn't get too out of hand where buildings and businesses were being set ablaze. So don't say that he's a white supremacist just to muddy the waters, to try and say, well, you know, when you say that he's acting in self-defense, you're defending a white supremacist. Even if, let's say even if he was a white supremacist, even if he was, if he wasn't targeting anybody and wasn't doing anything to anybody, didn't shoot his gun at anybody, didn't even aim his gun at anybody, it's still self-defense. Carrying on.
Has openly announced that they can't wait to use it on black people and protesters.
He did not announce that he wanted to shoot black people and protesters. He said that as a joke, in a different context, that if I had my gun, I would shoot the looters. Now, you could argue that that impedes his character and that shows you as a violent person. Maybe. You can have that argument. But the court didn't want it in there because the court was actually able to see that it's a throwaway comment. So for you to twist the words that he went out of his way to say he would like to shoot black people is fucking amazing. Anyway, carrying on. I'm getting a little bit too angry, but she's really starting to piss me off.
Or rioters, whatever terminology you want to use. I don't personally find the word rioter offensive. I think riots are good, actually.
Wow. Look, I'm not saying that people maybe shouldn't riot or anything else of that, but going out of your way to say, oh yeah, property and burning people's property down, burning people's businesses down, going out of your way to cause criminal damage, yeah, perfectly fine. Support that wholeheartedly. Yeah, you can do that. I'm with you. And then wonder why the police get involved to stop these things. And then, don't get me wrong, there are problems with the police. There are many, many problems with the police, especially in America. But to go out of your way and say, well, this is okay, and then expect the police just to lie down and not do anything is absolutely ludicrous. I don't understand your thought process, like, at all. Like, generally, I don't understand it.
Like, we're not good per se, but are necessary and our natural reaction to oppression. So when people are like, don't say rioter, I personally don't have a problem with it. Just put it out there. I'm not a right winger using the word rioter in a derogatory way. I'm using it in like a descriptive way to describe the events of, what, that there's a little bit more teeth to say I think there's a little bit more teeth to people coming out to fight for Black Lives Matter beyond just holding signs and deciding to go home whenever the cops tell you to, which is what I think of a protest.
So you think that people that are rioting are people that were told to go home from a curfew that didn't go home? No wonder why you have no problems with rioters. Because apparently burning people's property down, burning people's homes down, burning people's livelihoods down, apparently that's okay.
Yeah. So like, yeah, he was acting in self-defense. This argument is something that I keep commonly seeing. It's really disgusting. I think everyone can understand and see how this is a clear defense of Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't think this is like the most obvious one. I don't think I don't need to explain it any further.
I mean, you do.
Thanks for giving us up to Rob.
You do need to go into further detail. Saying he was acting in self-defense, the only thing that you put forward as why he wasn't is because people don't know what the facts of the story are, the facts of the case, and then you not going into any of the facts of the case. It's mind-boggling to me.
Thank you. Yeah, my mom drove me to an opportunity to find myself with a gun, and conveniently I had a gun. So, by the way, I don't think this part of my stream is going to be focusing on why Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't acting in self-defense. I'm just going to assume that everyone here isn't a fascist and that I don't need to explain this.
You're literally making a list of why people that are defending Kyle Rittenhouse is a fascist. You would think that if you are writing a list of that, you would show why these are actually true, rather than just being intellectually lazy and just going, well, he wasn't acting in self-defense. Believe me, because I've looked at all the facts, and anybody that says that they have and then comes to a different opinion to me is obviously wrong. Because that's what that's literally what you've just done. You've literally just gone, nah, don't care. That's literally what you've done. You've hand waved it away.
Is that a fair assumption, Chad?
No, it's not a fair assumption. No.
Yes. Okay. 1. Yes. Good. Okay.
It's actually really worrying that the chat don't say that there's any problem.
I'm defending Kyle Rittenhouse. Okay. Wow. I feel like up a million times. I don't need this actually when I say. Okay. He was acting in self-defense. Next one is let's see here. What are the ones I've seen?
Oh my God.
I've seen a lot of variations. This is like a really weird one, but like he was crying real tears.
I bet you that she doesn't know why people on the left, mostly the left, are using this as an example. Because there's a lot of people on the left that have genuine PTSD, that generally have panic attacks, that generally have situations in where stress causes them to cry and have a overt reaction. And it's interesting to me that people that are on the left that are talking about all of these mental health conditions, like big advocates of all of this, when it's somebody that they dislike, they don't extend that same courtesy. When it's somebody that they have a personal gripe or an issue with, they don't extend the same, oh, well, you know, it looks and it fits the way that PTSD survivors actually have reactions to this. Where when they're telling the story and they're reliving it, that they have a panic attack, that they start breathing really heavily, that they start crying and they start trying to control themselves because they don't want to have the panic attack, so on and so forth. So let's see if she goes through that or not. Because I bet you my channel that she doesn't.
This might not look like a defense that should matter. This is the thing with fascism. It doesn't make any sense. Like if we can, I've seen people like try to zoom and enhance his tears. Like it would make any difference whatsoever whether or not liquid emitted is present on his face or not. And what this serves to be is both, it's twofold. One, it's a way of sympathizing, right? Sympathizing with him, being like, oh, he's a sweet boy. Oh, he really regrets it. But another way, another thing this serves is it distracts, and you'll see that a lot of these tactics, not this one. This is a direct one. This is directly seen like he was right to do what he did, which is on the nose gross. I've seen Shoe on Head make this claim. I've seen all sorts of people make this claim that claim to be on the left. Just FYI, so it's a real thing that people, whether or not you think Shoe on Head is on the left, people that claim they're on the left, and many other people think they're on the left, have made this claim. So, but I've seen like people try to make this argument, like someone that we actually broadcasted one of their videos last stream or a couple streams ago, which I'm feeling very, very, very regretful now that I did that. Trying to insist that he did in fact cry real tears, that this matters.
She really doesn't understand, does she? The reason why people are pointing out that it's real tears, I'll now explain it from the right idea. That the right will say, well, if he's crying real tears, then he obviously feels regret. He obviously feels that this is something that has hurt him, that he didn't want to do what he did. This obviously bolsters into the fact of him showing emotion that he didn't want to do it. So now we have both sides, the right and the left. We have the left pointing out that when you have PTSD and you have a traumatic experience, that you're going to have panic attacks and you're going to have the idea of just panicking and crying in that sort of situation, not knowing what to do, right? You also have it from the right's point of view that, oh, well, he was crying, so he obviously felt some real affinity with what happened. He's obviously sorry about what happened. Now, it doesn't matter if either of these two are right or wrong. Maybe they're even actually combined. And that's the reason why he has PTSD. But she hasn't touched on it. She does not have any idea of why people are pointing out that this seems to be real. She just thinks, oh, well, you're just pointing and distracting. You're trying to sympathise with him. No, it's pointing out the fact that he has sympathy for what he's done. He has regret for what he's done. But he also seems to have a traumatic experience from that. If he wanted to murder, if he wanted to do that, and if it was his actual ploy to go out, why would he have a panic attack when reliving that situation on the stand? Questions all for another time, I suppose.
Again, it doesn't matter. It's distracting from the point, because that's not how white supremacy works. That's not how murder works.
So white supremacy is now murder. White supremacy is now going and protecting your local area. Remember, he worked in that area. He drove 20 minutes to get to work. Drove 20 minutes to go to where he was for protesting. I'm sorry, guys. I know people want to point out, oh, you cross state lines. People cross state lines all the goddamn time. All the goddamn time. So what? For you actually pointing out that this is somehow white supremacy, going to property to make sure the property doesn't get burnt, to clean graffiti off of monuments and whatever, off of schools, I believe, actually, to be honest with you, to make sure that people, even though he may or may not have lied about being an EMT in training or any sort of medical skills that he may or may not have had, still going out and trying to help people by his own words and from other people's experience. So you saying, oh, he's out there to be a white supremacist, how? Claiming that to defame him is the same as what you've just put down as number 2. You are sympathising with the supposed victims of Rittenhouse, and you're distracting from the facts of it was self-defence. You're fitting into your own self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's not how anything works, actually. If you do a thing and then you're like, I'm crying afterwards, you did the thing. You're just crying now. Whether or not you're feeling really genuinely sad or not is just immaterial.
You just don't get it, do you?
Look at these tears. Do these look fake to you? My God. Poor man. Poor man. Yeah, guys, Hitler's sad. Can't you see he's sorry? All right, so I wish I could just collapse. Wish I could collapse these because I don't want to keep these up. But how about this? You saw them. He was crying real tears. Another one that I've seen is he deserves due process. I've seen this a lot recently.
And this is the whole reason why I wanted to get this video. So let's find out what she means by he deserves due process. Let's find out.
I've seen, I want to pull up a tweet. I wonder if I have it available. But this is a new thing. I think it's a new emerging tactic. I'm going to make it very, very, I want you all to pay attention to this because I've seen people try to present this as like a thing that needs to be argued. Again, it just serves to make you sympathize for him. Like, what it does is the sympathy. I wonder if I should have one of Sophie or Rob in voice chat right now because I think it'd be nice to have, but I'd also want them to have to work. The sympathy is that this is trying to, this argument is trying to like create is putting him automatically in the place of a victim.
People that we know that are convicted for murder, people that we know are convicted from rape, two of the most heinous crimes that you can commit to another human being, they still deserve due process. They still deserve to fight their case in court. The same as the victims deserve to have their day in court for the retrospect of being able to explain what happened, to tell their story, to produce their evidence, to try and get the person that did the thing that they think has happened to them into court and into prison and in some states onto death row. Saying that he deserves due process is not having sympathy to try and turn him into a victim. It's to point out that everybody is trying to convict him before he's had his day in court. You know, the whole process of you must have, in a court of law, the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. That's why they try to look for unbiased jurors when they are going to court. It is amazing to me that you are apparently a political YouTuber that has had over 8,500 views on this video alone, and yet you don't understand what somebody says when they have due process. It is even worse to me that you say that you're on the left and don't understand how the mental process of PTSD works. And it is even more impressive to me that you don't understand the facts of the case of when somebody says he was acting in self-defense, you claim that as a white supremacist fascist take because you disagree with the facts that you think that you know. Aye.
He's a victim of not having due process. None of that's happening, by the way. He absolutely is getting I would argue he's getting the best treatment possible. Like, he's getting the most favorable scenario that this dipshit could ever fucking get. Right? Besides just being never having a child, he's getting he's getting an outright.
I must have missed that. So besides not being able to have any children or a child, it's apparently a relatively similar recompense for what Kyle Rittenhouse apparently did. Okay.
Racist Trump supporting judge who is like very openly pro Kyle Rittenhouse.
Just because that you have a song that is supportive of America does not mean that you, as the judge, support Donald J. Trump. The fact that he was put forward by a Democrat to fill a position when it come available, and then won an election in a predominantly Democrat area, surely suggests something, but apparently not to political streamers anymore that are on the far left. And I have no problem in calling you a far left streamer. No problem whatsoever. This is what happens when you don't do any research and you let the information drip feed to you from the internet. And from one particular side. let's carry on because we've got
Very
so much more to do.
Anti Black Lives Matter. So I've seen people try to like push this thing where, again, maybe I'll just try to find an example of this. Let's see if I can just do that right now.
Oh, fuck me, that face. I'm sorry. I shouldn't, but that was just funny.
Here, this tweet. This person says, take note of any leftist defending Rittenhouse and make sure you never let them anywhere near real leftist spaces. They are dupes at best. They are dupes at best and infiltrators at worst. I agree. Then you see people saying...
People, so she shows a tweet of her.
Are you talking about people defending Rittenhouse or people defending his right to due process? Because there's a huge difference.
And there is a huge difference. His right to due process, his right to be able to determine if it was self-defense or if it was murder, is absolutely a huge difference. You do not have to support Kyle Rittenhouse. You do not have to support the fact that he was a Blue Lives Matter advocate. You don't have to support that afterwards he took pictures with the Proud Boys. You don't have to support any of that whatsoever to be able to say Rittenhouse deserves his day in court to prove that what he says is what happened. You don't need any of that. But I suppose the fact of him being apparently a white supremacist completely and utterly overshadows the fact of his due process, right?
Again, his right to due process need to be defended? Is it at risk of being taken away?
I was an estate agent for 6 years.
I'm really sorry about the
I knew it wasn't for me.
Sorry.
Is this a conversation that needs to be had?
Yes, because everybody is condemning him already on Twitter. Have you ever heard of being convicted by the public court? It already massively influences the court case and how people are already perceiving the court case. People have already made up their minds that because of how he may or may not have reacted after the shooting, the self-defense in my opinion, that apparently he's guilty now. But yet, what people are saying is that you should be waiting until the court case is done and not condemning him. Look at what the actual facts are of the case. I'm not saying categorically, as you are doing in this video 5 days before any sort of verdict, that he's definitely guilty, he's definitely a white supremacist, and he definitely went out to murder people. Even though that none of the facts that were ever brought up by the prosecutor even alluded to that. Even the prosecutors didn't even try to attempt to say that he was a white supremacist and he was counter-protesting. But you know, you obviously know more than what the prosecutor does. Because you're a political streamer, right?
What is happening here? Yeah, I've seen this. I saw this another place too. It seems to be a thing that keeps popping up.
If it's a thing that keeps on popping up, do you not think that people are actually going out of their way then to target the fact of his due process? Because 9 times out of 10, most times when something's brought up, there's a reason why it's brought up. It's not just brought up for no reason. Even in your mind of calling everybody that defends Kyle Rittenhouse is a fascist, there's a reason behind it. I mean, I'm not sure what the fuck it is, but there's a reason behind it.
I don't defend Rittenhouse as such. I think he's a rather disagreeable person. But I do defend his right to a fair trial. And recognize the facts probably will go his way. Blah, 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 blah.
While also recognising that he does enjoy a privileged position that helps it all along. So, I've talked to a lot of right-wingers in my time. There is no way that there would be any right-winger that would point out the point of his privileged position going into a trial. So, the person that she's just pulled up is obviously left-leaning in their subject, which is absolutely fine and is great. I don't defend Rittenhouse as such. I think he's rather a disagreeable person, which is fine. I do defend his right to a fair trial and recognise the facts of that trial will probably go his way, and then pointing out the privilege that also goes along with it. The person that she's using as an example of being a fascist is somebody that she would probably 99% agree with most of their takes on. But
this person's a dipshit, by the way. They're a Kyle Rittenhouse supporter, TLDR.
wow.
And if they're outright, no, I don't support him. It doesn't matter. Just like racism, you don't have to, if you're to do racism, to be racist, you don't have to be like, yeah, I'm racist. Yeah, I hate black people. No, you don't have to do that. That's not how racism works. You can easily think that you're not doing that and even say you're not doing that, but you can easily still promote racism and be racist. This is like this made up conflict to try to pit him as some sort of like, he's a victim of having his rights stripped away from him, which is...
She doesn't even get it. Even from that post, he's saying that I don't agree with Kyle Rittenhouse's politics. I agree with the fact that he should have the right to a fair trial. By the facts of the trial, it looks like it's going to go his way. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm trying to get it as perfect as possible. That's not saying that he thinks that the due process is completely gone. He's saying that people that are calling him a murderer, even though the facts do not support that, is why that he supports the due process. Because it looks like people are trying to take away that due process by calling him a murderer without looking at the facts. But I'm guessing you're not going to get that.
It's not even remotely happening, nor is it a threat to him, no, this is not even a debate. This is not even a fucking debate. So it does, again, sympathy and then distract. And this is kind of a...
I'll be honest. So far for almost every single one, she has used the two examples of A and B as sympathizing, sympathy, distracting, or distraction, or distracts. Basically, she's come up with, these two words sympathise with what's going on, and they show what I think is going on, so I'm going to use them every time, and these would be enough to justify my position. Even though none of the facts, and even the example she's using, don't back up her facts.
Describes the what Innuendo Studios discuss at great length in his alt-right playbook series, specifically this one particular tactic that the alt-right uses, which is control the conversation. Go on the offensive and never play defense and control the conversation. If someone's like, hey, people are fucking disgusting fascists for defending Kyle Rittenhouse, you can't talk about that. You want to now control the conversation and make them be on the play defense, not you, by saying, actually, are you threatening to take away his right to due process?
It's funny that she thinks
You know what I
that's an actual point. It generally is funny.
And you want to see this is on the right side of this, right? I'm assuming they are. I haven't seen them make a statement on it, but I'm assuming they are.
Yes, everybody you disagree with is the right winger. Even when they talk about privileged positions that all right wingers obviously hold.
Only be astroturfing. There's absolutely no threat to his due process. Anyone making that claim is clearly just trying to astroturf the conversation. What's really fucked up is this person here. I was looking at their feed and like, I don't know. I mean, who knows if they're like a Fed or something? I hate making that statement, but they seem to be like actually trying to be a lefty, which is super sad to me. Like, it's one thing to be a fascist or like some sort of like you're trying to purposely create that narrative, like you're saying, like astroturfing. But it's another thing to like...
astroturfing is literally trying to gloss over or to cake over or to completely and utterly bury what you're actually talking about. If somebody comes out of their way to point out saying that I don't like Kyle Rittenhouse, but he deserves his right to due process because the facts of the case seem to be going his way, in other words, saying that the facts of the case seem to show that he was under self-defense and trying to defend himself, Your response is, well, they're all right-wingers anyway. Look at his feed. He's a Carl Rittenhouse defender. He's a white supremacist. I worry for you, but more importantly, I worry for the people in your chat. And that's not trying to go, oh, well, you're crazy, so they're crazy. It's that the people will actually believe you, that you've done your research, that apparently you know what you're talking about. You haven't gone into any detail of why you think that Carl Rittenhouse didn't have the right to self-defense. You haven't gone into any sort of detail on the aspect of... Oh, I can't even remember what point 2 was. And now you're going into the point of this, and you haven't put any sort of facts, and even the facts that you have put down clearly shows that somebody that's left-leaning in politics is against you on an opinion by the right of the facts, not because they're right-wing, whatever the fuck that means now.
Be a fucking gullible motherfucker on the left.
Wow. I'll tell you what, I'd rather be a gullible motherfucker on the left than I would be by somebody that won't even look at the facts, won't explain my positions, and won't actually go through with understanding where other people are coming from and why they have the positions that they have. I'd rather be a motherfucking gullible leftist.
Please stop trying to astroturf the conversation. Well, let's say he was one of the... did you just start with a let's say in my fucking chat when we're talking about fascism IRL?
Oh my god.
We're talking about the real world. You're creating hypotheticals. Just consider that for a moment.
Oh my god.
Let's say I ban you. I mean, I might as well just do that, right?
This is how people are fascists.
Hypothetical, just make it IRL.
This is how people are fascists. I'm sorry, this is funny. This is how people are fascists. I don't like your opinion. You're making hypotheticals so I can understand your opinion a little bit better and understand my opinion on it. You're obviously wrong and I should ban you. So I'm going to ban you. But let's talk about fascism. I mean, ironically, that's funny as hell.
Let's say I'm genuinely curious. By the way, whenever people say genuinely curious, they're here to be a piece of shit.
No, they're not. They may be there to look for an argument, to understand what your positions are and to ask questions. But I generally go into people's chats that I disagree with, and I usually use the words, I'm generally curious about your position. And I normally quantify that by saying, I'm not here to troll. What is your position on blah, blah, blah? But just because that people put, I'm genuinely curious, that doesn't mean anything. Let's actually have a look at what she was actually reacting to. I'll highlight it for you so you guys can see. I'll now read it out as well. I'm genuinely curious. Are you categorizing every person who defends the actions of Carl Rittenhouse as a fascist? The simple answer to that is yes. Yes, she is.
I'm genuinely curious. Are you categorizing every person who defends the actions of Kyle Rittenhouse as a fascist? Genuine curiosity here.
So why don't you just answer the question? Your chat already is. The chat already is. Come on, answer the question.
Incredible. It's fucking incredible.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking.
That's number 3. He deserves due process. This is a new tactic.
Yes, new tactic. Yeah.
4 is... What's the 4th one?
It's your list, darling. It's your list.
Oh my god, I have more of these in my head.
That's why you write them out before you go on stream.
Genuinely curious is a dog whistle. Got it.
No, it's not. Just because you think that it may be bad faith afterwards, that does not make it a dog whistle. You absolute dipshit. Jesus Christ. If I was actually religious, I'd be praying to some sort of deity at the minute.
Yeah, when people, honestly, it probably is. When people say they're genuinely curious, it's straight up a person trying to convince you that they're not just here to be a piece of shit to you. They're trying to be like, they're trying to infiltrate your space and be like, I'm a person that just needs to be talked to because then I'll learn. I'm just trying to learn. Look, I'm a perfect empty vessel for all your ideas. I'm just genuinely curious when they're not. Anyone shows up.
Right. When somebody says I'm genuinely curious, they're not fucking trying to be an open vessel. They're not trying to take all of your ideas and then accept them afterwards. They're trying to understand your position. So if I go up to you and I ask you a question as I'm genuinely curious, do you actually believe that anybody that was defending Kyle Rittenhouse is a fascist, which was the actual genuine question, because of the title that you've put in and on top of your stream? How in the hell is that being a loaded dog whistle question? How is that bad faith to ask you that question when your literal title of your stream is Top 10 Way Fascists Are Defending Kyle Rittenhouse? So how is when somebody, which will say it again one more time, that says to you, generally curious, is everybody that defends Kyle Rittenhouse a fascist? That's really not a loaded or disingenuous question. It's a way to understand your position better.
Says they're genuinely curious if Kyle Rittenhouse supporters are considered fascists. Like, fuck off, man. Seriously, fuck off.
By the way, for anybody that thought that they didn't get an answer, there you go. There's your answer.
Display. Oh yeah, that's another one. This is the fourth one. Yeah, thank you for the heads up. The fourth way that fascists are defending Kyle Rittenhouse is let's see here. He wasn't racist / he wasn't being racist / white supremacist. I don't know. What's the word for it? This isn't about white supremacy. This is one for sure.
Right, before she carries on, I actually haven't watched this. But this isn't about white supremacy. If you're talking about somebody's right to due process, you're talking about looking at the actual facts of a case to find out if laws actually extend. Now, you could argue that you don't believe in the laws, but we're talking about the laws that are on the books. And until those laws change, they're on the books. So you need to talk about the actual laws themselves, about if it was right to have your self-defense when you were feeling that you were threatened and so on and so forth, or if it was murder. This isn't about white supremacy. It's a legitimate, and I think a good counter to people like yourselves that think everything is fucking white supremacy. And that doesn't go for everybody on the left. There are legitimate reasons and axioms that are in place by governments and by so on and so forth that do hold to a white supremacist narrative. I agree. But this isn't. And saying that as an argument is a direct counter to that point. So let's see where she goes.
This isn't about white supremacy. Note that a person making this argument can easily admit that he wasn't acting in self-defense. They can even be like, oh, he's faking his tears. This one is ridiculous. This is not a thing, right? No one's trying to take away due process.
You're literally sitting here, why going through the trial, saying that he's guilty, he's a white supremacist, he's this, he's that, he's a horrible person, he's blah, blah, blah. But yeah, nobody's trying to take his right away to say that he's not a murderer or anything. But, you know, Court of Appeals, the Court of Public Appeal, you know.
They can be like LARP is anti Kyle Rittenhouse, but then they will at the 11th hour pull the rug out from under you and be like, but this is just about gun rights or something.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody actually use that as an argument. I really don't ever think that I've heard that as an argument. This is about gun rights. No, this is about the right to self-defense and defending yourself with a gun if you have it on you and your license for it. I don't understand how you got... This isn't about white supremacy. This is about gun rights. How that even... Let's carry on.
This is simply about Second Amendment rights, or this is simply about, like, they are straight up trying to erase white supremacy from what is a outright, completely bona fide, straight up white supremacy, like, white supremacist. Like, this is...
If your only proof that he's a white supremacist is that he talked to the Proud Boys after the incident, then how can you prove that he was a white supremacist before that happened? Even if somehow taking a picture of somebody and talking to somebody makes you a white supremacist after talking to that group, which, by the way, that means so many people that talk to other people on the internet and in real life are obviously now a part of those groups because, you know, pictures have been taken by all sides for all time, for everywhere. But yes, apparently, when you say that this is about this, you obviously are talking about white supremacy. Obviously. Like, it's just so obvious, even though the prosecution could never bring it up, even though that most of the papers have never brought it up. But somehow, you know more than they do, and you're the only one that is brave enough to be able to bring up the fact that this is obvious white supremacy. Let's do this.
Is the most, like, obvious white supremacy. Like, it's super obvious. The guy's doing OK symbols and posing with the Proud Boys and talking about how he wants to kill black people.
Lie. He never once said that he wanted to kill black people. Saying that you wanted to have your gun to stop looters is not the same as wanting to go and kill black people. Jesus fucking Christ. I might actually start praying. I'm literally in the position to start praying. I may actually lose my atheism for today. Because God help me, I'm losing brain cells.
He shows up to a Black Lives Matter protest.
Why do you think that is? Let's see if you can work out why that is. Because the reason why he showed up was because for the last 2 days before he showed up, there was massive rioting, massive amounts of buildings being set on fire, and the police obviously couldn't handle what was going on. So let's see if you could actually do that, because he wanted to be a policeman, and he wanted to have law and order. That doesn't make him a golden fucking child, by the way. I'm just saying that there are reasons why he went there that wasn't just to go, oh, Black Lives Matter are protesting. Fuck them N-words, because fuck it, I'm going to protest them. Who knows, I might be able to shoot 3 white people. Jesus Christ.
He wants to be a cop when he grows up.
So now that we've made the inference that all cops, even the black, even the Mexican, even the Chinese, even the Asian, all of them are all part of white supremacy and they all believe in white supremacy. Just because that you want to be a cop. Just because you support cops, that you're apparently a white supremacist. This is amazing. Let's carry on.
I've seen people make this argument. I will show you some of the people making this argument. Some of them are your faves. I'm sorry to tell you, chat. Let's see here.
I've got a headache. I really don't want to do this anymore.
All right, so a lot of you are recommending this loner box person. I have to say, please stop doing that because they're on board with this argument apparently. So I want you to note the things that we've just discussed with this particular person. Seriously, When you guys try to say Rittenhouse fake crying in that clip, you all look fucking deranged.
Yes, because you all claim about the mental health issues that you advocate for. And then when somebody generally looks, and I say generally looks because I don't know, and he hasn't been diagnosed, but generally looks, from my experience, that he has genuine PTSD from this situation and taking 2 people's lives and shooting a third, that when you start saying, oh, he's obviously fake crying and definitely couldn't have PTSD, couldn't have any sort of remorse or anything that happened, yeah, you generally look deranged. Generally look deranged.
He was a dumbass LARPer and he shouldn't have been there. But that has nothing to do with whether or not he was defending himself.
True. If you think that he was a LARPer trying to pretend to be a cop, that's fine. That's your opinion. Maybe he was trying to pretend to be a cop. Maybe it was his ultimate fetish. It was his ultimate fantasy. He wanted the uniform and everything, right? Let's say that that's true. He was LARPing as a copper. Does that mean that just because he was laughing as a copper that he loses the right to defend himself if attacked? I'm guessing you probably think that he does.
He's almost 100% gonna walk. Fuck off. I don't know what that part.
Oh, I've just lost my last brain cell. I've just lost it. It's just gone. He's 100% going to walk. Fuck off. You have no idea what that's referring to? Like, nothing at all? We're going to lose a bit of picture so I can see the chat very, very quickly. But let's quickly. Chat, what do you reckon he meant? What do you reckon that he meant when he was saying that he's going to walk 100%? Fuck off. Chat, what do you reckon he was actually talking about there? And by the way, SSM, I do realise that they were told to stand down. I do realise that, but there's no point in going into too much detail because she hasn't even watched the case or even the court action at all. Even if it was 5 days beforehand, she's done no research whatsoever. So, chat, what do you reckon? What does it mean when you actually say to somebody that he's generally going to walk 100% fuck off? Just let me know. Let me know. Let's carry on, shall we? It'd be nice if I got back to where I was going, wouldn't it? Right.
Means. I don't understand what they're trying to say here. He's not crying, or he is real crying, so he was defending himself because that's how fucking life works.
Wow.
Not every tragic event needs to get shoehorned into some hyper-convenient narrative of white supremacy versus social justice.
True.
If you want to talk about people encouraging the idea of children turning up to protests at night with an AR-15, go ahead, but the rest is filling in blanks.
True. There are conversations to be had about gun rights and going across state lines and stuff like that. There are conversations to have. But that doesn't take away from the fact of him having the right to defend himself. Like, even a chat don't even know what it means by he's going to walk.
I'm glad another leftist came out and said it. The appeasement to an extremist, out-of-touch narrative is only going to create more Rittenhouses and lead to further pointless death.
Exactly. Because the further that you push, like you, I support rioters. I support people that are burning down buildings. I support that. You are going to create more militias that are going to come out to defend their property. You're going to create more of a situation in where people are going to have to make the choice, unfortunately, to defend themselves or lose their lives. Because generally people will defend their property. Now, not necessarily with a gun. They may have a gun on them, but they generally don't necessarily use their gun to defend the property. But will say, I've got a gun, get away, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. And then you can have the argument of whether or not that's self-defense or not. But you will cause more problems by creating forced narratives when you don't need to create forced narratives. With the situation with George Floyd, almost everybody from right to left said and agreed that there needed to be police reform. But then you had ACAB come out, then you had Blake being shot, and then you had these riots all over the country for the US. And people didn't want to follow it anymore. By being extremist, you pulled away from the fact that people wanted reform. Do you not see how you literally shot yourself in the foot? Do you not see that? Of course you don't. Of course not. Yeah, no, I completely and utterly agree with both Jensen Quinn and SSM in the chat. I completely and utterly agree with you. By the way, SSM, I don't know if you were here at the beginning, but I did say that he was already working there. He was working as a lifeguard. He was only 20 minutes away. It's not the same as travelling from bloody California to New York. It's literally what he would do as a work commute. So I don't know if you were there for that, but I did mention that already. And obviously I've mentioned it again. Right. Back to the crazy. Everybody ready to go crazy? Let's do this, shall we?
Okay.
Even the chat don't get that.
Seems like he's arguing that it's bad for optics, maybe?
You absolute dipshit. If you keep on pushing false narratives that create riots, people are going to defend their property. When they defend their property, bad shit fucking happens. People get hurt. You don't need guns to do that. The more you put people in conflict, the more likely conflict is likely to occur. This is not fucking rocket science. This is kindergarten level psychology and sociology. It's not fucking hard.
Like, that's me being generous.
That's you not getting it.
Why are you being generous here? Why? What has inspired you to be generous to people defending a fucking white supremacist murderer? A symbol of white supremacy at this point.
Jesus fucking Christ. You have no evidence that he's a white supremacist. You have no evidence that he was a white supremacist beforehand. You've already lied about one of the facts, about stating that, oh, he wanted to go and shoot black people. No, he didn't. He said that if he would like to have his gun to be able to stop looters. Now, if you put looters as black, that's fucking on you, and I think you have more of a problem than what he may have done. Because inference. But yes, apparently being a symbol of white supremacy. I don't even understand how you got to that. I generally don't. Not unless you've put him as that neurotic symbol of being a symbol for white supremacy. Come on.
Not trying to be mean to you, but it's I was talking about this earlier, that this is the treatment that cis men, particularly white cis men, but cis men get. They get this hand-holdy, coddled. We always have to mention the good things they do before we criticize them. We always have to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I was going to swear at you. These two leftists, not right-wingers, these two leftists that you've used as an example, were condemning him as being a LARPer and maybe or maybe not should have been there, but then said this is about self-defense and being able to defend yourself. You've now come out and have tried to say that these people are coddling other white people because they're cis, straight, white, and male. You are literally hitting all the tropes that right-wing Republicans, Christian right-wing Republicans, would actually denote you as being as a crazed leftist. I don't know whether to pat the Republicans on the back or to pat you on the back. I don't know. Let's carry on.
We always have to assume that they're just trying to be good guys. It's exhausting.
Nobody says that you have to assume that they're good guys. They literally come out and said that he may be a horrible person. People have come out and said that they don't support Kyle Rittenhouse. People have come out and said that you've used as an example of saying that they don't support him. They think he was a LARPer. They also think that he shouldn't have been there, but as he was there, you have to go by the facts of the case. You're now saying that, oh, because they're cis and because they're white and because they're male, they're all holding hands together. Nah, fuck it. Bitch, motherfucking please, what the fuck are you smoking? What the fuck are you smoking?
It's exhausting.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Please don't do that. This is saying he's a dumbass LARPer and he shouldn't have been there, but it has nothing to do with whether or not he was defending himself.
Yes, because the case is about self-defense and not about if he was a white supremacist. Woof. Fuck me.
He's saying he was defending himself.
Yes.
It's not about racism either. He wasn't acting out of racism. And then this guy's like, yeah, I agree.
Yes, because there's no evidence that he went there to attack people of colour. There is no evidence that he went there directly to oppose BLM as their point. There's even evidence to suggest that he actually supported the plight of Black Lives Matter. But yet, you won't look at things like that because, believe it or not, you've denied him that due process of looking at the facts because you've decided, without looking at the facts and due process, that he is a white supremacist murderer by your opinion. So please, carry on telling me how these people that are obviously on the left, that obviously condemn Kyle Rittenhouse's actions overall, are somehow fascist in nature because they understand the rule of law and how to follow it.
We better not. And saying that he acted out of racism is just going to hurt people.
No, it's going to hurt your movement because you can't prove that he acted out of racism.
It's just going to hurt all these black people that I care so much about. I don't want to see them get hurt. So yeah, like I said, this is an example of, and please don't recommend any of these motherfuckers to me anymore. I don't want to have anything to do with them.
Lovely.
At all.
Somebody disagrees with me, so I'm not going to talk to them, and I don't want to even be there. And I'm talking about how fascist they are. Oh.
So yeah, this guy, Loner Boxhead, he's acting in self-defense.
Yeah.
I think he even has this one too, and he has this one too. He has these three. He doesn't have this one. Good then. This is like a weird one. I think this is a kind of a newish one.
Yes, because of people like you that are condemning him without even looking at the facts.
What's the meme where Nazi is getting dressed saying, "You did this to me by criticizing me, goddamn"? Misplaced optimism, like I wouldn't agree with that take. I feel like the misplaced optimism, and forgive me if I'm wrong on this, but like misplaced optimism, I think is coming out of a group that doesn't actually have to experience marginalization personally. Your view of the world is, and marginalization, I don't know if this applies to you. And by the way, when I make these...
I don't know if this applies to you, but I'm going to say it does anyway, because, like, how else can I justify my opinion if I don't throw this straw man onto you and why you think what you do from my own belief? How could I ever talk to you and actually find out what your opinions are? That's just bad because you're a fascist.
Criticisms, chat, if they are true, I'm not saying this to make you, like, leave or to make you cry or anything. If you cry, you cry. You know, as long as we cry. But it's more of like, this is the nature of these types of conversations we have to have, unfortunately. It's a miserable thing. We're not going to talk about like rainbows and puppies here. We talk about fascism. And part of this is learning about...
You're not talking about fascism. You're calling people fascists. You're not talking about fascism. Not at all. Let's carry on.
About how we have gunk to de-gunk in ourselves. Me included. That's why I started doing... not being a gaming streamer and becoming a political streamer. I started learning all the ways that I was wrong, and I was just like, Jesus fucking Christ. When I finally allowed myself to acknowledge it, of course, it took a while for me to I had a stubborn grip on my chud takes, my chud self, right? But now I'm at the point where that's the whole point of my stream, is to like help me learn, do better, help you learn, do better.
How can you help yourself learn if you won't even engage with people that disagree with you? Like, generally, it's a genuine question. And I know that you hate that phrasing because you think people are dog whistling when they say it for some strange goddamn reason. But it's an actual question I would like you to answer. Like, you're not going to watch this, and I get that. But this is the one question from all of this that I would like you to answer. Just this one. If this is all about learning for you, how do you learn when you don't talk to people you disagree with and understand their points of view? And even people that are massively on the left have a different opinion to you. Because they have that different opinion to you, you call them a fascist. How do you expect to learn anything if you just go around calling everybody a fascist?
Better, help us help each other, blah, blah, blah. I think optimism is good. However, optimism when it comes to optimism that harms people, optimism that's disconnected from the realities of what marginalization does to people.
You're literally just saying buzzwords at the moment. You're literally just saying buzzwords. But let's carry on.
Ends up hurting people that aren't you if you're not a marginalized person. Or if it does hurt you, that also sucks. You know, it's not nothing. But it hurts not just you. It hurts other people too. Marginalized people tend to be far more jaded about, you know, douchebag McGee and his douchey takes compared to white cis heterosexual man specifically, and his approach. Now, there's always exceptions, obviously.
All of the people that you've listed as your examples have condemned to a point of Kyle Rittenhouse. You have used leftist people to condemn him in one aspect, but because they say that one, he needs due process, or two, that it is about defending, or it is about the fact of being able to self-defend, it's not about racism, it's about the right to self-defense. You've said that all of these people that have condemned him in one shape, form or another as fascists for pointing out that they should have the right to defend themselves. I'm lost. I need help. Please send help.
You know, you find a black like Candace Owens, who's a white supremacist, but she's black. You know, there's always people.
She's not a white supremacist. I do not like her. You could argue that some of her takes are a bit racist towards black people. You could argue that, but she is not a white supremacist. Though I do have a really interesting question as well that I would like you to answer. Is black nationalism bad? Is black supremacy bad? Is Asian nationalism bad? Is Asian supremacy bad? Is it only bad one way? Because one thing that I do respect Rosh on is the fact that he did push back against people that would push against black nationalism and black supremacy. I bet you wouldn't.
That break the mold in some way, but they all have a commonality, and that's them serving a certain like hierarchy because they're trying to benefit from it. They're trying to benefit from that hierarchy. Some people are just...
Everybody does that. You're doing that now by having your own channel and being in charge of your chat and banning who can come in and banning who can come out and deciding who can talk, who's mods, who's not. You're literally forming in hierarchy. We naturally do that as a human. We are naturally hierarchical in our society. It's how we fucking evolved.
Just automatically benefiting from it because they're like white cis heterosexual man.
Oh my god.
Others, like say maybe like Shoe on Head, needs to, because she's a woman, has to side with those that would normally harm her, because that's her grift.
Look, I don't like Shoe on Head, but just to come out and say, oh, she's automatically grifting because she has an obvious different take to me, is... I don't know how bad that actually is. I don't know how to quantify that. To try and say that, oh yeah, she just wants to fit into a white cis world, so she's obviously going out of her way to fit in there because, you know, she could get hurt. I mean, do you want to lay it on any thicker? And I chose that word on purpose.
People that are marginalized tend to have far less optimism. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Far less optimism about these douchebags because they're so used to these douchebags being what they are. They have a much more intimate experience with, one, the repercussions of this douchebaggery, which is it's violent and often completely irreversible. Like, it's not someone just calls you a name, which I would argue is still a harm, but it's like someone could kill you, someone could evict you, someone could whatever. It's not
interesting, because if you start calling people Nazis, white supremacists and white nationalists, even if they are or they aren't, you're literally causing them harm by that same logic. You really don't think any of your positions through at all. You just say all of those truisms and all of those buzzwords so you can just get people to like you because of it. Jesus Christ.
Not a trivial thing that you're like, I just hope everything's going to work out, because it oftentimes doesn't. But I don't know. They also are just like, maybe have a little bit of oftentimes a little bit more of like a awareness that what we're talking about is one demographic primarily. And when you keep seeing that one demographic pop up over and over and over again with this fucking shit, you're not like, you're not like, oh my God, I can't believe this. You're like, yeah, I absolutely believe this shit. Why? This is not surprising to me. So there's much less optimism there.
The absolute mental gymnastics that Bad Bunny has actually gone through here to be able to try and justify the fact that these leftist people that are being recommended to her as being leftist people from her own chat are apparently now right-wing fascists because they disagree with her stance on a particular issue is almost worthy of a gold. If at every time that she tried to do a vote or a double vote, she didn't land on her fucking face. And now we're just looking for chat for validation.
If only there was some kind of manifesto. That's the thing. If you're a nice guy that makes nice guy who's just like just convinced that Kyle Rittenhouse isn't a white supremacist doing white supremacy, I still blame you, because again, this is not what's happening here. I'm telling you with all the certainty in the world, this is not what's happening here. This isn't like people that are just oopsie daisies. I just didn't know all the facts. But
you do. And you still think that he's a white supremacist that went out to murder people because of their skin colour to oppose a particular group of people. But yet waited until he was attacked to shoot only 3 people that were physically attacking him in a close proximity. That's what you believe happened. Okay.
If it was, it still sucks.
Yes, nobody says it doesn't.
The utter arrogance of white cis dudes logging on to write fucking like threads on how Kyle Rittenhouse did nothing wrong, that this is definitely not about...
Nobody you fucking used, you dipshit, fucking said that he did nothing wrong. all of the people that you use said that he did something wrong and condemned him one way or another. You could argue whether that's true or not, and that's fine. But not one of the people you used as an example said that he did nothing wrong. Not one that you used. But you know, it's all about cis white men sticking together, apparently. Apparently.
Racism, so on and so forth. In the rare chance that it's just these guys are just don't have all the facts, that also is white supremacy in action.
I don't have all the facts, and I'm only making an opinion of what I think happened is white supremacy. Well, darling, well done. Welcome to white supremacy. You don't have all the facts and you're making an opinion on it. Great definition for the person who loves a definition.
Also is patriarchy in action. It's the approach to the world that
Oh
you
my
have the
God.
authority on things that you don't know about.
All the buzzwords. All the
Worst
buzzwords.
case scenario doesn't fucking fuck you up anyways. Who gives a shit? Why are these guys can be concerned about white supremacy?
Because they're not talking about the white supremacy issue that you believe is there and what they may believe is there. They're talking about the fucking right to be able to defend yourself. That's not just about you defending yourself against a person. It's also the right of you to being able to defend yourself against the government. So for you to defend yourself if you think the police are being overbearing against you, for instance. But you know, all about white supremacy and patriarchy, apparently.
It's not gonna fucking bother them. They're on team white supremacy.
Yep.
This is never considered. There's never been a concern of them. This is all hypothetical. Politics is hypothetical land where we hypothetically talk about shit. Let's say this. Let's say that.
Jesus fucking Christ. Now you see why I say that she's trying to be an Olympic fucking mental gymnast, but she just falls flat on her face every time.
Yeah, playing with our lives. Accountability is lost. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Accountability is lost, but yet you won't have accountability for yourself to check all of the facts and to go through all of the facts. And if you do, and you still come to your opinion and your outcome, you going out of your way to claim that people that have a different opinion to you, because they have a different look on what the facts are, as a fascist, is fucking laughable. Absolutely laughable. Well, it would be if you didn't have over 8,000 people actually following you and probably liking the stream. So I don't see any dissenting point in your chat whatsoever. And that's the most worrying thing. You can have all the opinions in the world that you want. Your opinions are yours and you can have that. But the fact is that you're spreading misinformation, at least by my opinion and by the court's opinion so far and how it's going. The evidence doesn't suggest what you're suggesting. But yet, because you're telling it to people, people are believing you. And you're stirring the honeypot to cause more of a reaction from the hive. To get the bees all riled up, to get ready to fight for their honey, so to speak. And I find that the most disgusting and irrehensible part of this stream. It's fine having your opinions. It's fine not necessarily doing all of the research. It's when you plaster it over as fact that you're factually correct. Hence why I generally say, in my opinion. Because until the court's actually decided what the court's decided, it's only my opinion. But yet you say it's truth. So let's go with your truth, shall we?
It's so annoying to me that the nuanced take from these cis-het white voices is the both sides-ish take. Like, a take is not nuanced simply because there can be a point for both ways. It's just lazy take. These dudes have turned into such fucking douchey, like, pseudo-intellectual contrarians that when something is cut and dry, they're like, no, it's not.
The fact that so many people disagree with you, that are on your own side, that people that on your side from your chat have suggested that you follow have a different take to you, does not make them contrarian. It doesn't mean that they're going out of their way to argue for argument's sake. It means that they've looked at the case and rightly or wrongly have come to a different assumption and conclusion that you have. But yet, because they have come to that conclusion and have justified their conclusion, you think that that makes them a fascist. The people that you've used have all been on the left as well. Cool.
I don't think it's cut and dry because I am intelligent and hyper contrarian. Cut and dry things are actually very complicated. There's both sides to things.
I love the fact that you think that you're actually making a salient point. I really do.
It's just like, shut up. sees a black man getting lynched by a guy in a white hood. Okay, some might say this is, white supremacy, but I'm very smart.
Do you know the sad thing is that if even people on the right, like as far right as you think, if people on that side were to see that, now, sure, maybe the people on the far right, the KKK themselves, maybe would actually support it, but they would still come out and say, no, we lynched him. Like, the facts are the facts of the case. Most people don't go against the facts of the case. Now, you could argue that the interpretation has changed, but most people don't actually go against the facts of the case. Now, manipulation is a point in this, and I think that you're doing that more than anybody else at this minute in time. But I don't think that most people would look at the facts and go, yep, I'm just going to argue this because I'm contrarian. Most people don't seem to do that, but maybe that's a bit of a projection on your aspect. I don't know.
And I have zero skin in the game. Therefore, I will write a thread on why there is something to be dissected here. Fake quote is fake.
Great political commentary there.
Just dumbasses.
Yeah, the best political takes ever.
Yeah, people treat politics as a hobby / sports. I really thought being close with Louis would make Faraday better than that. I have some bad news about that type of approach. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah, of course.
It doesn't work.
No, nothing that you disagree with works, does
Yeah,
it?
it's people on the left inspiring stochastic terror with their bullying and cancel culture has to go on the list. I don't think that's a defense I've seen though. That's just people complaining about cancel culture. How is that? How is I don't understand. I've seen people say he's just being vilified by the media. We don't know all the facts. Okay.
But I'm glad that the advert. No, stay advert. Stay. You were making more sense. Come back. Come back. Come back, please. Please come back.
He's been. How do you spell vilified? Oh, 1L. Vilified by the media. We don't know all the facts. I've seen someone hand wave to this as well. People referencing how like, oh, his face has been plastered everywhere, as if that's supposed to be like really hard to therefore know if he's a white supremacist.
Your take is really bad. If he's being vilified by the media, that doesn't just mean that his face is being put everywhere. It's how the media portray that aspect. Are they saying, oh, well, this person is accused of this, this and that? Or are they saying it seems that he's a murderer? Are they saying he is a murderer? Are they saying it's in self-defense? What is the media actually saying? Because if people from all sides are saying, well, he seems to be vilified by the media, maybe, now, just maybe, a consensus may be formed that maybe the media may be vilifying him to make, well, I don't know, money off of the story. I don't know. I don't know. And when people say, oh, he's being vilified by the media and we don't know all the facts, you don't seem to know any of the facts. Like, I know this is 5 days ago. I get that. But you don't seem to know any of them. Not one. Apart from maybe he was there and he shot 3 people. Maybe you know that. I don't even put that down, the fact that you know that. Let's carry on. I need more brain rot. I'm probably only going to go for another half an hour, and I may do part 2 tomorrow or something like that.
Like, how is he going to get a fair shake? How can he get a fair shake?
The fact that you make that as a laughable argument, like you're making it as an argument because you think it's so obvious that, yeah, well, obviously, you know, if the media is putting him everywhere, saying that he's a murderer or suggesting that he's a murderer, how in the hell can he get a fair shake in a courtroom to have due process? It's almost like these things are interlinked. Maybe. Fuck me.
That's in the tweet you sent. He literally said, you being so mean to Rittenhouse is going to inspire more Rittenhouses. That is an approach I've seen. I wonder if it's enough to like put on a list, though.
I need to wait until she's done.
The victim blaming all this is so disgusting, really? Yeah, it is. It really is. Lana! Lana, hi!
Ow.
Rittenhouse literally hanging out with the Proud Boys. Literally doing an OK symbol, hanging out with Proud Boys. Right, like...
Right. All the people that hung out with Farrakhan, are they now National of Islam, anti-Jewish and anti-Semitic? Are they now... I'm trying to get this right. Are they black nationalists as well? Are they? No? Is it something different? Or is it the fact that Rittenhouse went to a bar, saw them, they saw him, they said hello, they shook hands, they took a picture, and they did goofy shit? Because obviously we've never done anything being goofy shit when we were 17 or 18. Obviously, we're the model citizens here, aren't we? It's always interesting to me. Because people always do the argument of, oh yeah, the left didn't push me to do anything. They couldn't have pushed him to go anywhere. If literally all your friends are condemning you as a murderer, if all the people that are in your local area are saying that you're a murderer, and the only people that invite you to not ridicule you, that are actually trying to support you, are these white supremacists, then guess what? You want to go to the group that is open arms to you. Because that's human nature. Does that make it right? Fuck no, of course it doesn't. Does that make it understandable of why he may or may not have actually have said anything or done anything with the Proud Boys that you presume are completely and utterly white supremacists? Which maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I don't fucking know. It's interesting the level of guilt of association that you're put onto people. But when it's done from the opposite side, it's you need to prove it. Prove it with facts. Prove it with facts. Draw lines for me. But when it's somebody you dislike, that you've already made a preconception about, that you prejudged, it doesn't matter what the facts are or what the evidence points to. It just matters how you feel. But let's carry on.
Fuck. No, I meant Kyle. What do you mean you meant Kyle? What do you mean you meant Kyle? I like how people that are Kyle Rittenhouse supporters are coming here and they're like trying to actually open their mouth. Like
You've put a stream together of Kyle Rittenhouse is a murderer. You've then put on top of it top 10 ways fascists are defending Kyle Rittenhouse. You have made an inflammatory stream to get clicks, likes and shares and subscribes and whatever on purpose, and you're moaning that people are coming to you to defend a position and to oppose yours. But they're the fascists. They're the people oppressing others.
would it shock you that I simply don't care?
No, it wouldn't shock me at all.
I simply don't care.
It
that
wouldn't
Kyle's
shock
a victim
me at
here.
all.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care that you're a fucking fascist.
There we go.
I mean, I care because you suck and I have to fucking deal with you. But like, I don't know if you picked up on this with your awesome comprehension skills, but we're shitting on you. So I don't care. Jesus Christ. Anyways, hi everyone from Landlocked to Stream. My name is Bad Bunny. Welcome to the stream. This is a very spicy stream we're doing right now. I'm a political streamer. I am currently talking about Kyle Rittenhouse.
I don't care. I'm moving forward.
White supremacist murder.
I don't care.
Yeah, he sucks. Inadvertently helping the stream track fascist talking points by defending Kyle in chat. Honestly, seriously, yeah. How about this? Like, here's a way that fascists are defending Kyle Rittenhouse. Sea lining. Sea lining. Oh, by the way, everyone for my stream, please drop a follow to Lana Lux. I'm so sorry, Lana. I didn't give you a proper shout out. I love you so much. Lana is not a political streamer. Lana is an indie game developer. She's beautiful. She's funny. She's entertaining. She actually does a lot of really good community activities, like community events, which I don't
Sorry,
do
guys, she's
at
just
all
gonna...
because I don't care about my community. I hate my community. I fucking despise my community. I work so hard for them, and what do they do for me? Nothing. Do they thank me? No. Have I received a sub in the past? Let's see. In the past, what? 33 minutes? No. No. 33 minutes of my life with nothing.
Bye.
Drink water once.
I just need to quickly do something. I will be back very, very shortly. I will literally be 2 minutes. Okay, I'm really sorry, but I do just have to do something. Right, let's get back to what we were doing. Sorry guys, I just needed to check something before I actually carried on, because I actually wanted to know what sea lion was, because I was certain that I knew what it was, and I do know what it is. It's a case of when you increasingly advocate for bad faith investigation into a position to engage dishonestly in a debate. And I just wanted to check to see if that's correct, and it was. So I now want to go into how she put forward what sea lying is. And I'm just checking chat very quickly. Yep, yeah. She is nutty. Yeah, she is very, very nutty. I would say shoe is shoe. Shoe is shoe. I don't know what I got right there, but I appreciate your support, SSM. So I agree with that. I agree with what I say or re. That is all I hear from her. Pretty much, considering that she was like, oh yeah, we should learn from each other. And then she goes out of her way to go, yeah, well, I'm not going to listen to what your points of view are because you're a fascist. It's just like, really? Okay. Right, let's get on with her for a little bit longer. I'm only going to do another 20 minutes, maybe at max. We will do a part 2 probably tomorrow, to be fair. So let's just see how that goes.
Drinking water, am I saying? I'm gonna put up this other thing to show you an example.
All right, I'm glad I got to the right position.
We need to list some of the sea lining questions that people ask, so you know how to like not fall for a chat.
Right, very quickly, again, I want to point out for anybody that's going to be watching it at a later point, excuse me on that one, but I just want to point out on this that sea lining has to be a dishonest way of engage into a debate. So if you put a position out there and I go, why do you think what you've thought and what you put forward? That's not me trying to sea lion you or anybody trying to sea lion you. That's trying to understand your position. If you go, oh, Carl Rittenhouse is a white supremacist, and I go, how in the hell did you get into that position? Yeah, it's an inflammatory way of asking a question, but it's still a question, and it's not a dishonest question to ask. It's literally asking you to clarify. Clarifying questions are never sea lying, because there has to be a dishonest aspect to it. But that's carry on.
And maybe we should watch the Innuendo Studios video one more time.
No.
So you can remember. It's really important that you don't waste your time with these motherfuckers. They exist to exhaust you.
So, by the way, remember that we're not even talking about people on the right. So far, she's used people on the left, and she's categorically stated other people on the left like Vash and so on and so forth. So people that most right-wingers would never associate with are now the fascists because they disagree with her, and she will never talk to them because it will waste their time. I'm a political streamer, guys, but don't I dare ever listen to anybody else's different politics. I'm just going to scream and ree and say that you disagree with me, so you're a fascist. It's highbrow stuff, guys. It's highbrow stuff. Top quality, top brass, academic.
They exist to exhaust you. They're not going to be like changing their mind. Think of them as people that are like on the other side of a computer with a list of questions titled "How to Exhaust Leftists" or something. Make it that explicit in your mind. Because if you think, maybe this is a weird example of a person, it's just.
Let me poison the well. Let me poison the well so much.
No.
Let me glorify myself in chat to see if people ratify
actually pull up
me.
Conquest of Dread's Twitter. Because you had something linked that I want to.
Oh, this is amazing. It's the best content ever. I mean, to be fair, my content is not any better, and I'm not trying to belittle her for that. She's obviously looking for her form of evidence, and that's fine.
Here.
So let's see this form of sea lining.
I still fall for it sometimes. It's good to be reminded not to waste your time. I do the same thing. That's why I need refreshers too. What if they say I'm genuinely curious?
Yeah. How can anybody that ever uses that term could ever be actually genuinely curious? Too.
I don't know what side this person's on because we just broadcasted one of their videos.
Hey, it's Vadim is a left-leaning YouTuber. I don't know if he's socialist. I don't know if he's communist, but he is a left-wing or left-leaning YouTuber. He is what you would used to call creationist cat. So I don't know what side he is.
We broadcasted one of their videos the other day, but seriously, when you guys try to say Rittenhouse fake crying in that clip, you all look fucking deranged. Then Hates Vadim says you can zoom in on images and see tears. I'm not trying to make any case about him based on that, but he was clearly genuinely crying.
So notice that sea lining is asking questions in a dishonest manner. He wasn't asking questions. He seemed to be agreeing with the one that we saw before. The one where he says at the end, he's going to walk 100%, fuck off, and so on and so forth. So Vadim's obviously commented on that saying, well, I can see where you're coming from. It definitely looks like he was genuinely crying. So, kind of half agreeing with the first part, but not the second. But, I don't understand how this is sea lining. I'm sure that the great academic that is Bad Bunny will elaborate us.
This is one of the defenses, unfortunately. Unfortunately, this is one of the defenses for Kyle Rittenhouse. So I'm very concerned about this comment. The idea that someone crying means literally anything at all.
He didn't say that it means anything. He just said that I agree with you. He looks like he was genuinely crying. I'm not trying to make a case for what that means. Literally in the fucking words, it looks like he was genuinely crying, though, is the soul of what he's trying to say there. But somehow you've read it as it being sea lining and him saying that it means something that he genuinely cried. Okay, please justify.
And that's why I said, with regards to the Bad Bunny approved streamer list, I want y'all to be just wipe it clean and let's start from scratch, because I've been so fucking disgusted with so much that I'm seeing right now that I need to we need to revamp. We need to reevaluate.
Remember that this list has been put to her via her chat. So her chat says, oh, I like these people. You should watch these people. And she's gone, nah, fuck that. They disagree with me politically, so they're obviously fascists. Let's carry on.
People tend to genuinely cry when they're getting in trouble, or they think they will be. That doesn't absolve him of a fucking crime. Also, the idea...
Nobody ever once said that it absolves him of the crime. People saying that it looks like it's PTSD and it looks like he's generally crying because he's remorseful shows that he didn't intend to necessarily go out and kill that day. Or, even if you believe that he did go out to generally kill people, that he's generally remorseful for what happened and he's sorry that the lives were taken. If it's a genuine crying session and he's generally crying for something, then by definition, as I just said, he's crying for something. Get it? No? Let's move on.
idea that you can't fake cry with tears.
That's not what people are saying.
Like you're not... Like,
you're so intelligent.
Never before in the history of mankind has someone faked crying with tears.
Yeah, I bet you have. I bet you have.
He said later that doesn't support him or whatever, but it still gave me pause that he felt the need to say that. Exactly, that's the problem. It's not the absolute worst thing in the world, because sometimes people just don't know how to fucking be. They don't know how to like approach these things. They get duped themselves. But like the need to like have to point out that he's genuinely crying to bolster what this says is it's bolstering this claim. Anything to bolster this thread. If you're bolstering this thread, that's bad. That's just
the superior intellect of the far deranged Bad Bunny has come out of her genuine habitat to look at people that have genuine disagreements from her position, and she wants to justify it is bad to have a difference of opinion by saying, well, it's just bad. I'm now leaving.
it's bad, man. That's just fucking bad.
Oh.
It's just straight up bad. Like, why are you doing that?
The sad thing is, I'm getting so used to her crazy, I'm actually starting to get bored.
I'm going to call you out. Stop picking at our lips. It makes them worse. They are fine. Leave them. Are you a man?
What? What in the hell? Is that just a way of literally hand-waving criticism away? Make a funny voice when you're saying it, and then just make a offhanded comment like, oh, are you a man? Are you a fascist? Are you a Nazi? Are you these bad buzzwords so we can just dismiss you and hand-wave you away? Because I don't ever want to have my position challenged, because if anybody does, even if they are left-leaning, like Vadim, or like the other people you've actually listed, that have been listed by your own chat as leftist to watch, somehow they're all fascists. because I'm right, they're wrong. Okay. We can do this. I can do this. I don't think I can do this. Is it almost 9:30?
Dylan's
It's almost
WWE
9:30.
style promo on you was one of the most cringe things I've ever seen. What? There was a promo on me? These people are so fucking sad. These people are so weird. Go away. Do something useful with your time. These people are not... Anyone who thinks that any of these fuckers are like doing anything productive...
They're literally doing the same as what you're doing, darling. They're literally streaming like I am about your content, about their positions on how that they think that this thing is that thing, or how things are going on in the world. If they're not being productive, you're not being productive. Logic is a double-edged sword, but I don't think you'll get that point. Or the point. Sorry guys, I unmuted her.
Are they obsessed with you? I don't know. Yep, last I checked. Okay, last time I checked. Okay. Man in the chat, telling women what to do with their bodies is fucking weird and creepy.
I'm gonna lose my fucking face. I'm gonna lose my fucking face.
It's weird and creepy. You telling me to stop doing a thing because my lips are fine means that I'm supposed to be like, oh, thanks, I didn't know that. And also your awareness of my body is better than my awareness of my body.
If somebody says that you keep on playing with your lips, why are you playing with your lips, or don't play with your lips, they're fine. That's not necessarily trying to say, oh, you should do this or shouldn't do that. It's pointing out that your lips look fine. Why are you playing with your lips? It's a bit weird. Like, people can have those types of opinion, you know? But I suppose that they can't, but you can. I don't know.
Stop telling women shit to do with themselves is fucking weird. I don't know who you are. Who are you?
Moving on. I'm bored.
Oh, yeah. I like...
Get back to what you're supposed to do. Come on, man telling you what to do. Get back to your positions. Political positions, guys. Political. Come on. Stick with it. Let's just look at memes. All right, moving forward.
The trial that a racist judge allows. Don't talk about... I don't want...
Right, okay, so that was sea lining, apparently, everyone. That was apparently sea lining. Somebody like Vadim said that he was crying. And let's look at memes about the crying. It's riveting stuff, guys. It's the most academic piece that you'll ever see on the internet. And sadly, people still believe this. And that's what's worrying. So, number 7 is apparently the facts of the case. So, let's try and justify that, shall we? So, I'm going to move back a tiny bit. Okay, that may be too much. Yeah.
The judge is controlling the facts that are allowed to be displayed.
Well done. That's literally what judges are supposed to do. Like generally, the judges are there to decide what evidence is relevant to the case, to see if it impedes people's character, whether or not it's an infringement on constitutional rights, whether or not that it's admissible in court. It's literally the judge's position to decide the facts of the case and what needs to be argued in the case. The fact that you don't know that, and you're a political streamer talking about one of the biggest trials for this year at least, is fucking amazing to me. Like, generally fucking amazing to me.
Like, maybe that's another one. Some referencing the facts of the case.
Right, so we didn't go into any point of what sea lining was.
The facts of the case or the facts of the trial or something. Because you can't know the facts beyond what, we can know enough of the facts, right? But if you're going to say that their facts are showing me that this guy was actually like a really good guy and blah, blah, blah. First of all, you're just outright wrong. You're just outright wrong.
Depends on what your position is. If you're saying that because you hang out with the Proud Boys, that automatically means that he's adopted all of the Proud Boys stances, then you can have that position. I mean, you're wrong, but you could have that position. If you're saying that, oh, well, he went round, he looks like he was trying to be an EMT, he was cleaning graffiti off his schools, he was a lifeguard, he was an active member in his community, so on and so forth, there seems to be more evidence to say that he was a good old boy that had the belief of blue bloods and wanted to be a cop to help his community than him being a white supremacist that wanted to help white supremacy. But, you know, the facts of the case. The facts of the case.
You're just straight up wrong. I'm sorry. You're just wrong. But on top of that, you're now trying to take a racist, look through a racist lens at this and say that now that racist lens you're looking through shows you facts of the case. Therefore, he's a good guy and he acted in self-defense and blah, blah, blah.
So even if you were to say that the Proud Boys were racist and afterwards that makes him a racist, does that then mean that what he did beforehand wasn't racist and you're not looking at what happened from beforehand? I don't know how to cartwheel out of this gymnastic position. Like, generally, I don't know how to be good faith to try and interpret your position at this point. Like, I generally don't know how to be good faith at this point. Like, I'm losing brain cells. I'm losing words. My patience is really severely going at the moment. I'm trying to understand your positions, but it seems like from all of your interactions and how everything are going, that it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, by the way, you could unblock me on Twitter as the Common Sense Guy. It's linked in my channel's bio. You can find me there, or you can email me if you want at thecommonsenseguy1900@gmail.com. You could email me there if you wanted to come and talk to me about this, which I'm guessing you won't. But I'd be more than happy to find out what your actual positions actually are and why you think the way that you do. And I know that you hate this and you think it's a dog whistle, but I generally would want to find out why you think these positions. I'm more than happy to actually even come onto your own stream and have a conversation with you and let you have all of the power and all of the control. I'm normally generally an amenable person, so if you wanted to talk, I'm more than happy to. And, you know, if I start acting up, you can just call me a fascist and throw me out. It would look good for optics, wouldn't it? But generally, I don't know how to be good faith at this point. And I think it would be bad for me to continue because I feel like I'm going to continuously react in a bad way to yourself. So I think that it will probably be a better idea if I go to the point of just saying bye for tonight. And I just wanted to say thank you for everybody that watched this live. If anybody does start to watch this from a video point of view or whatever, then that's fine. That's cool. Drop me a message. Let me know what you think. Do you think that I'm doing bad? Do you think I'm doing good? So on and so forth. With that being said, I think it's time to end the stream. I'm going to bear you farewell. I'm going to bear you adieu.